Yes, it's live.
Oh my god, shut up, whatever.
I'm kidding. But yeah, you can see it's got the little button up
Yes,
there.
I realize that now, okay? See, she's making fun of me like always. Whatever. Listen, I'm the best part of your YouTube channel.
You're barely here.
I'm still the best part of it.
You're right. You're my motivation, so that counts for something.
Exactly, so I'm the best part of it.
Right. You're like my biggest fan.
Ow!
Sorry. I might put it out.
What?
Nothing. I'm just making faces at my chat because it's fun. Yeah, now I gotta fix the filters. I'm gonna go without filters this time for a little while.
What do the filters do?
Well, lately I've been putting in chat filters so that people can't spam as easily. Like, I've just been putting in like a few like manual rules of engagement when it comes to the chat. So like, there'll be like a 10-second chat delay, and you have to be subbed to the channel for at least 1 minute or 5 minutes to be able to comment, that kind of thing. And it's been pretty effective at combating spammers, honestly. I was trying to watch YouTube, T-Wife. Oh, you're trying to watch you. Well, now you're watching YouTube Phoebes.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he was trying to watch YouTube TV, but now they're watching YouTube Phoebes, which is, obviously the best content this platform has to offer. So what are you complaining about? What truly have you to complain about? Things are going well, according to that estimation. Oh no!
Shit. Sorry.
That could have been bad.
I almost just burnt her with my cigarette.
What's up? Wake it up. Wake it up, wake it up, wake it up, wake it up. Sorry.
I almost burnt you with my cigarette, just like I burned Jesse's car and how I burnt myself today.
Yeah, you are just not good at handling cigarettes, but that is like an early smoker problem.
You know what? Don't.
I did it myself when I first
expose me.
started. No, I did it myself when I first started smoking, like cigarettes, and well, originally it was spliffs, but when I first started smoking, dude, I had the same problem. Oh my god. You can just say fag in here. You can call me a faggot. Like, you're gonna get banned for it, but like, YouTube doesn't automatically hide the comment from existence. You blocked Ronnie. Well, here, let me block his existence. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Thank you, Casey. I didn't even have to touch the poop. Literally gone before my very eyes. How does it feel? You found a fag, you tried to queer bash, and the queer bashed back. What a day you're having so far. Tell me, what is the taste of defeat? Hello, welcome. Kermit with a gun. I like that. I don't know why, but that's funny to me. God damn it. I really mean business this time. You'll not abuse me anymore, Miss Piggy. I will be a free lizard.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I've got a pretty good Kermit.
You're creeping me out.
Why? What's wrong?
Eric.
Eric Cartman? Wait, is that... I don't watch enough South Park to know the voices. Am I doing a voice that sounds like Eric Cartman?
No, I don't think so.
Do I look like Eric Cartman?
No,
So that person's just retarded then, is what I'm hearing.
I think so.
Alright. Cool. I'm glad we deduced this. What's up, Play Games? You've been deduced as retarded. How does it feel? We've got your number, bud. How does it feel?
Oh my god.
All right. Well, we're sitting at 39 people. Make sure you're liking the stream as you come in so we can get it to 80 people, 120 people. Because every time you like the stream, that's another higher chance that it gets recommended in somebody else's algorithm. And the more people whose algorithm this hits, the more interesting it becomes. No matter what direction you want the chat to go. Good dummy. Huh? What?
Oh my god.
Huh? Hello this evening, y'all. Hello. Welcome. Buenas noches. Oh, what's up, Joseph? What's up, Joe? When I do the first episode of my podcast, is you finna call in? If you do call-ins, I'll call in. Yeah, that could be fun. I actually did what you might call a call-in stream with somebody the other day from a different community, and I'm always down. I've been doing that type of shit since 2020, though. I love calling into shows. Yeah, so if you do it, I'll do it. Alrighty.
Alright. Bye, y'all. I'm out.
Alrighty. I love you. Do you go to church? No. If you just push on it hard, there you go. Do you go to church? No. I don't go to church. Is it windy outside? Not really, no. Not that I can tell. I'm in an outbuilding that would normally be pretty noisy. Not that noisy, but you'd be able to hear it if the wind was pushing up against it real hard, so it must not be that windy. Oh my god. Man, the weird spam accounts that pop up on YouTube chats are just so fucking strange. And I bet that inexperienced content creators who don't understand, like, how shit actually works, actually get tricked by that shit all the time. Literally just troll bot behavior. Casey says, like the stream! Yes, please like the stream. It's really helpful. It really does help. And if you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And what in the fuck do we want to talk about? It's very unusual for us to be sitting at 61 people and 4 likes and 8 minutes in, and we still don't have a conversation topic laid upon the table. And I've only got like an hour to spend with you guys today. Where's the American flag? I've never owned one. I'll fly the American flag when the American fucking government catches up with the rest of the civilized world in matters of economics and in matters of foreign affairs and shit. When we stop being the imperialistic daddy of the Western world, then maybe I'll consider flying an American flag. When we support universally people's right to health care in the United States, then maybe I'll consider flying the American flag. When my country stops sending people to die endlessly in wars all over this planet, maybe then I'll consider hanging up an American flag. When this country stops sending arms shipments and funding wars all across this planet, maybe then I'll fly an American flag. Until such time, I feel a lot more noble flying the Pride Peace flag that you see behind me. Why don't you move? Because other countries don't want us. Have you ever actually seriously looked into immigration? Bob Wilson, have you ever seriously looked into immigration? I genuinely want to know. Trump said take it down. I don't give a fuck what Trump said. Trump doesn't have any fucking right to tell me what I can and can't do. Trump is just the fucking president. Trump is not a fucking dictator. Trump is not God. And frankly, I wouldn't care if God himself came down and told me to take the flag down. He'd have to fucking rip it down with his old fucking dusty fingers. And if he wasn't willing to do that, then the flag would stay up. Because I have a fucking right to express myself. That is what the First Amendment of this beautiful country, this potentially beautiful country's wonderful Constitution, guarantees my right to fly that flag. I'm sorry for asking, but how do I tell my girlfriend that I want to break up? There's really no easy way to have that conversation. The best way is to just rip off the Band-Aid. In my experience, you say, hey, I'm sorry, this is going to be rough, but we need to have a talk. I don't want to postpone this any longer than it has to go on because it will just lead to resentment on both of our parts. I don't feel like we can continue in this relationship. You list your reasons why, and you close by saying, you know, I appreciate the time that we've spent together, and I think that any other thoughts that you have, it's going to be a very personal thing, but you can follow that basic framework, and it'll work. But the only way is to just rip the Band-Aid off. There's no way to approach it in some weird Machiavellian way and get a better result. And Dear John letters are always, shitty, and you really don't want to break up with somebody over text, so that's what I would do. That's what I've done in my past. Okay, thank you. Well, you're welcome. What is your opinion on Trump Vance? Vance, I think, is kind of a flip-flopper. I mean, Vance was saying that Trump was like the second coming of Hitler or something 4 or 5 years ago. So, how he is now Trump's VP is beyond me. But I also don't know enough about Vance to know on what other issues that I should be concerned with him about. So I will cop to a lack of knowledge when it comes to Vance in particular. But when it comes to Trump, I think he's probably one of the most outright authoritarian presidents that we've ever had, just in sheer terms of willingness to do whatever the fuck they want. There are contenders for ones who did worse. In fact, there are ones who you have to agree did worse. Andrew Jackson being chief among them, right? Andrew Jackson marched millions of people off of their native lands, and when the Supreme Court told him he was, doing some illegal shit, he was like, do not command what you cannot enforce. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want, bitch. And he did whatever the fuck he pleased. So Andrew Jackson was definitely a worse president than Donald Trump, but I think it's very telling that that's the presidential portrait that Trump chooses to hang in his Oval Office, right? That's who he admires. That's who he wants to be. So I do think he's one of the most authoritarian presidents. Sorry. Need a drink. I think he's one of the most authoritarian presidents we've ever had, but not the most. And I think that it is squarely the fault of the Democratic Party that he's currently the man in office. And I am sure people would ask, how the fuck is that the case? Isn't it obviously the fault of Republican voters and people who voted Republican this time? And I would say, no, dumb fuck, because the fucking, there were 35% of eligible voters that did not vote last year. 35%. And the margin that Trump won on was not that severe. He didn't win in a landslide. He won by a comfortable margin, don't get me wrong, but not a landslide, nothing near a landslide. I was looking at the numbers the other day. So what you're looking at there is, more than anything, a repudiation of the Democratic Party by a bunch of people, some of which chose to stay home, some of which chose to vote Trump out of spite. A lot of people are blaming that on the Democratic Party on the Democratic Party's social policy, which I think is really stupid. I don't think Democratic Party's social policy is why they've alienated people. I think if they had that social policy, but it adopted the Bernie Sanders platform when it comes to like populist issues like universal health care, and if they had actually meaningfully fought for those things throughout the course of the last 8 years, I don't think Trump would have won this time. I don't see how he could have, but they would have also had to do something else that they refused to do last year, which is have an open and transparent primary. Joe Biden outright refused, and Kamala Harris refused as well, to engage in any of the debates done between other potential Democratic primary candidates. And there were a number of states where the only primary candidate you had as a Democratic Party member was Joe Biden. How's that for a primary? How's that for a coronation? So, I really don't like the idea that some Trump supporters seem to be taking, that this is like some referendum on social issues in America. It's not. Nope. And I think, honestly, if you guys were honest with yourselves, you'd probably agree with me. It's economics that made you vote Trump, probably more than anything. If you voted Trump because you fucking hate trans people, that's retarded. Because that's a stupid, like that's just hatefulness, honestly. Like, even if I wasn't trans, I would feel like that was hatefulness, you know? And it's like not even self-interested hatefulness. It's just hatefulness for the sake of it. I am willing to bet that a lot of people, hands up in the chat if you voted Trump for economic reasons. If you voted Trump because you heard him say that he wanted no tax on tips and you were like, that's a badass policy and I want that. Hands up in the chat if you voted Trump because he said he's going to lower taxes on the working class and have income tax by 50%. Hands up in the chat if you voted Trump for economic reasons. I want to prove a point here. Did he even do no taxes on tips? No. Not as far as I know. Okay. So, what we're seeing here is a bunch of people saying, yep, I sure did. The reason for that is because I'm fucking right when I say that this was a referendum on the fucking economy, more than anything. Because people feel like Joe Biden and the Democratic Party have not done enough, and they haven't. They haven't done enough. They have not done enough to ameliorate the problems of the American average working person. Like, average Americans are still paying for their health care, in the form of outrageous premiums, or I can't think of the word I'm looking for right now. And I just filled out a fucking W-4 and a fucking withholding form the other day. Is that what it's called, a withholding? Yeah. So healthcare plans that are through their work that are like a lesser premium as well, withheld from their paycheck every period to pay for it. People are being juiced for that in a way that would be completely fucking dead and in the grave if the Democratic Party had adopted universal health care years ago and stuck with it, right? Imagine if that fucking economic burden alone was your back. Everybody in here, imagine if you didn't have any medical debt whatsoever. Now, some of you are going to say, I don't have any medical debt. I pay that shit when I get it. And I applaud you for being so responsible and for being able to do that. But also understand that life is fucking crazy. Shit happens, and people sometimes do not get, like, sometimes people just flat out run out of money because the procedures that they need cost so much. There are a lot of fucking situations in which economics play into people's ability to get health care. And imagine if that burden was completely removed from you. Imagine if it was distributed fairly across all income classes in the form of taxes. And so instead of paying $200 a fucking month or $400 a month for your health care, you're paying like $400 a year. Imagine. Yeah, somebody that's making way more than you is paying like $4,000 a year. But shouldn't they? Like, they're making way more money off the country. They're, the cost of keeping them alive and keeping their businesses up is probably causing more strain on the populace than an average person. So yeah, like, let them float a little more of the fucking burden. Why should anybody have a problem with that? Why does that have to be a partisan issue? Can I ask that? If you're a Republican in chat, why does ensuring that corporations and billionaires pay their taxes, why is that got to be a partisan idea? Why does that have to be the left? And it's not even the Democrats. The Democrats are not about lowering taxes for working class people and raising them for the highest fucking 1%, right? They are not about that. They are about handouts and corporate welfare to their fucking rich buddies. So, I'm just curious about this. Like, why does this have to be a partisan issue? In my mind, the fact that there are people that make millions and millions of dollars, and in some cases billions of dollars off of this country and off of its infrastructure, and pay functionally, some of them, no taxes, that's always seemed pretty unfair to me, personally. And I don't see why it's got to be a partisan issue. I think that even if you're a Republican, you can see why that's wrong. People who make more pay more taxes, lol, you absolute walnut. Not when you get to a certain point. Like, between certain brackets, you're right. But once you get to a certain point, you don't pay taxes, you pay an accountant. Just ask a rich person. Like, and when I say a rich person, I mean a really fucking rich person. That's all you gotta do. The truly fucking wealthy in this country do not pay taxes, they pay accountants. Sometimes armies of them. Big corporations pay armies of accountants to make sure that none of their money gets funneled into taxes. There have been multiple years in a row where Amazon has not paid any fucking tax at all. I mean, like, I'm sure they've like gotta have like pay out sales tax and that type of shit, but you get what I'm saying. When it comes to their own like taxes as a business, they offset all of it. They pay armies of accountants to do that instead, because it's cheaper for them with the amount of money they make. It is cheaper for them to pay 20 or 40 well-paid accountants who do all their who make sure to manage their money and keep it absolutely free of any kind of taxation through the through the use of tax offsetting charity contributions and art purchases and shit like that. Oh man, this is a boring topic, isn't it? We're down to 92 people. Anyway, the more you learn about the richest people in this country and the corporations that they own and control, the less faith you'll have in the American tax system. The more you'll start to understand why some libertarians feel the way they do. Not that I'm a libertarian, I'm a leftist, but I kind of understand why some libertarians look at tax so negatively, because I've heard this argument too many times to ignore it. You look at the fucking working class tax bracket, people who are making between like 26 grand a year and 150 grand a year, which is a shit ton of people working pretty fucking normal jobs that anybody could get with the right amount of dedication. Some of them obviously are pretty entry level, but on the higher end of that scale, right? Those people float America's tax system. Those people are not rich enough to pay an accountant to handle all their money, nor rich enough to necessarily afford to contribute enough in charity or to do whatever it is they have to do to offset their taxes. They're not privy to that system, and so they end up more often than not paying quite a good bit in the pursuit of was a wrong turn of phrase to use there, but I feel like I'm spinning out on this particular branch of the topic, so let's dive back into chat to figure out what the response has been so far. Well, it is high because Biden made it so bad. No, the debt has been high for fucking like 2 decades now. The debt has been fucking crazy for a while, my friend. Just go look at the history of it. The massive amount of debt that America is in is not due to some kind of mismanagement by the Democratic Party. Not to, I mean, it is partially due to that, but it's also like mismanagement by the Republican Party as well. It's not that once again is a bipartisan effect of politics. Well, he made it worse. Do you think Trump is going to make it better? I got news for you. Trump ain't going to make it no fucking better. I agree both sides are corrupt. I think if both sides weren't corrupt, then there would have been a side to oppose Trumpism, which I think does need opposed. I do agree that Trumpism is a worse fucking philosophy than the weak liberalism of a guy like Biden. At least in the short term, I guess. Although the weak liberalism of a guy like Biden allows quite a bit of fucking evil tragedy to happen too. So it really is a matter of degrees, and I tend not to like decisions like that, which is why that's why I wasn't an advocate for voting Harris last year, right? Oh my god, get out of here with your fucking proselytization. Nobody wants to read you preaching in the fucking chat. Nobody. Okay, dude, I'm gonna make it easier on my mods now that there's a few people here. And we're going to turn it into subscribers mode only, 5 minutes, and we're going to turn on slow mode. 10, there we go. There we go. Oh no. Okay. All right, there's 73 people in here. Make sure you guys are liking the stream, because that's like literally every single time you hit that like button, it's another chance that this video gets recommended in somebody else's algorithm. And the more people are in here, the more interesting the chat can be. And make sure you hit that subscribe button, because you'll need to in order to be able to chat. You'll have to wait for 5 minutes, and then you can ask me whatever you please. Just please make it legible. That's all I ask. Please make it legible and interesting. If it's boring as fuck or stupid as fuck, I'm not going to read it. You're just going to get banned. But if it's interesting, even if it's like the type of question that should bother me, I'll probably answer it. So hit me with it whenever you want to. Firing on all cinder blocks indeed. This chat has been abysmal. That's why I named it that, because I knew it was going to be. Chat has been horrible for like a couple fucking weeks now. And like I feel like it's just getting worse. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'll tell you, Drifty, I feel like it's getting worse and worse with time. But what can you do, dude? Like, we just got to sail through it, because we've got no other choice. You know, if you want to keep growing the channel, you got to deal with some dummies. Oh, what's up, Book Blaze? This chat has been a real double-edged sword. Yeah, it has been. Yeah, the chat's been a real double-edged sword. Well, you see, the problem with that idea is when you talk about it, it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, my Brett impression is just an impression of Paul's Brett impression. It's like impression what's that fucking movie? I can't remember it, but whatever. If I actually had no, I can't do it. I thought about this the other day. Actually listen to Brett Keane, and you will notice pretty quickly that he's actually got a pretty inimitable voice. Like, you think you're getting pretty close with something like this, but then you really listen to him, and there's something else. There's something else in there. He's got like a kind of he's got like a dude who wanted to be a radio announcer kind of thing at one time. But you know, there's also a little bit of Missouri hillbilly in there, and you could tell that he's been smoking cigarettes for his entire life. It's a very hard voice to do, and I don't even feel like my impression, if I'm really working hard to do an original impression of the manatee, I don't feel like I get all that close. That's everyone's impression. They're a bunch of dirty ass losers. Yeah, that's why I kind of want to work on. You know what, Drifty, you have inspired me to grow my own manatee impression, and then try to actually perfect it to the point where I can maybe, you know, I don't know. Maybe I can trick the DFF guys with it. You know, like make a fake Brett Keane account and start making them recordings. You know, trying to sound like the manatee. Like I said, I would have to learn. I would have to study a lot of Brett Keane material. But given that we're from the same area in Missouri, I think that I could probably master it with time. He could have been a radio DJ if he went down on a different path. He would have just had to kick the constant waking snoring. Waking snoring, yeah. Not only that, Brett Keane would have had to kick a lot of his fucking habits. You can't smoke as much as Brett Keane clearly does and be a fucking DJ. You just cannot. A DJ has to be able to be like sitting at their desk, not fucking smoking a cigarette and coughing all fucking and doing all like you can't be sounding all fucking gravelly as fuck. Not to the degree and being on the radio. So he would have to at least cut back his smoke a little bit. Because I can just tell looking at a dude like Brett, that dude smokes like a pack and a half a day. That dude buys cartons. The rest of you guys buy individual cigarette packs when you need more cigarettes. Brett Keane buys cartons. I guarantee you. I guarantee you he's got a package store somewhere in his area that sells them cheap, and he buys cigarettes by the carton twice a month. I guarantee it. I can just look at that dude and tell that he is smoking like a fucking chimney. He could have been... Oh, yeah, I already read that. Let me see here. A real eye for an eye type situation. Yeah, for sure. I'm going to be a DJ? Oh, that'd be cool. Dude, I will tell you, though, the unless you're being like a house DJ, like that'll work. Like if you're being like a DJ for hire for like bars and venues and shit, that's still like a career that you can have and like a lucrative thing. And if you're making beats to sell to people online, that can be a pretty lucrative thing still. But man, like the idea of the radio DJ, that's kind of a dead art, my friend. Kind of a dead art form. I guess there's still some of them out there, but the days of the radio DJ are, for the most part, behind us. I've arrived. What's up, Jeremy? What's up? Finally, the sensor is off. It's not a sensor. It's a retard filter. Brian Pina, don't feel fucking called out or whatever by the fucking what you call the sensor. It's not a sensor. It's a fucking retard filter. If somebody is so fucking ADHD that they can't sit and listen to the conversation for 5 minutes, get caught up, and wait to type a fucking message, and they are too fucking self-concerned and too self-involved to stand not being able to send a message closer together than 10 seconds, then they're probably not suited for this chat, right? It's just a fucking idiot filter. That's all it is. I was half joking. Yeah, I figured. What do you think will happen when Brett finally dies? What do you mean? His corpse will rot in some pauper's field in Festus, and his wife will mourn his bones as they come reeking back through the fucking Missouri swamp. What do you mean? Like, the old manatee pond will lose one of its fish, you know? Not fish, but like Do you mean like, will there be content made about it? Hell yeah, shit tons. Oh my god, dude. Artists are never truly realized until they die, right? So you tell me, dude, what happens when Brett Keane dies? He finally reaches the fame he always wanted. It's almost poetic. It's almost a little poetic. You have to admit it. Who is Brett Keane? Don't even worry about it. Thank whatever God you believe in that you don't know, and do yourself a favor and don't look it up. He's not like some, well, okay, he is a scumfuck, but he's not like a I don't know how to put it. He's not the most reprehensible scumfuck ever, but he's a reprehensible scumfuck that a lot of people, including myself, like to make fun of because he's like the epitome of human evil. Not really, but like he's like the epitome of human personal evil. There are greater evils committed by other people on a global scale and on a national scale, but Brett Keane represents how shitty a human being can be on a just day-to-day level. Excuse me. Will we have a documentary made about him, you think? There's gotta be one eventually. I think it's, honestly, I want to make a Brett Keane documentary. I really want to, like, after I've got some money saved up and I've bought way better equipment, I actually do want to, like, talk to Brett Keane and see if he will let me film him for, like, 4 days. Literally, I just want to be like, I want to make a documentary, and I want to call it A Day in the Life of Brett Keane. That's literally what I want the title to be. A Day in the Life of Brett Keane. And that's going to be the fucking focus of the documentary. I'm just going to do like a bunch of filming sessions with them, some of which where I'll just be like, I just want you to get about what you would normally be doing. Don't, like, pretend like the camera's not even there, Just pretend like the camera people aren't even there, and to the best of your ability. And I want to also like include in that series, or not series, but include in that documentaries with him and the people around him. And I don't know what answers I'm looking for in this, but I think what I'm looking for is what like, Drifty, maybe you can help me with this. What am I looking for with this dream of mine? You know what I think it is? I'm looking for the answer of why is Brett Keane the way he is? And what is his life really like? And if his life is as dull and as ignoble as we've all accused him of being so far, then is he the exception to the standard in his area, or is he representative of a trend in some way? Or is he just a strange little manatee swimming in a pond somewhere, The plot twist, there's an evil mayor called Derek the Grifter. I love that. Derek the Grifter. Manatee Pond, yeah. Yeah, dude, the Manatee Pond. What I would want is just a candid look at Brett's life and social circle. Yeah, that's what I want, but why do I want that look? That's what I want, too. I want a candid look at Brett's life and his social circle, but I want, like, here's the thing. You can't candidly film somebody going about their private business and shit without consulting them first, I don't want to do some illegal shit, so I would have to organize it with them, and that's the biggest hurdle. Everything else I could save up money for eventually and get and do, but I can't just show up at his house one day, and I don't even know where the fucker lives, I mean, the joke is that he lives in Festus, but I've heard from a reliable source that Brett Keane does not actually live in Festus. But, that's as much as they were willing to confirm, and that's as much as I asked, I was like, okay, do they actually live in Festus? Not just a meme. And they were like, well, they used to, but, he doesn't anymore. And I was like, okay. If you want to get really dark, you should interview his daughter that has a medical condition. Oh, well, if I got this opportunity to interview him, like, I would set it up. I would discuss all of this shit with him on over text, email, whatever, beforehand. And I would be like, yeah, I want to interview everybody in your family that you're able to, talk into interviewing, And honestly, I would probably have to pay Brett in order to get him to do this. That's going to be another hurdle of this, is that I'm probably going to have to save up like fucking, a tenth of a year's pay just to pay the fucker to get him to do it. Because I guarantee you that fucker would need like, he would need like $3,000 to be willing to do some shit like that. I do not believe the manatee would do something like that for less than $3,000. You would have to bribe him. I genuinely think, though, that if I approach Brett with the right offer, I will get this opportunity. And it would be really fun. Honestly, I think it would be really fucking interesting. Because you know what? I'm pretty sure I've met some guys like Brett. I'm pretty sure I've smoked out with some guys like Brett. And they're usually, offline, pretty chill dudes. That's, you know what? That's what I want to show the world. Because there's always, to me, the manatee is so reprehensible because he takes it the extra step further. There are plenty of fucking dudes in his area, Missouri, that don't work and sit around drawing a fucking disability check that they probably don't deserve and smoking weed all day and fucking, but a lot of those dudes at the very least are like very apologetic about it. A lot of them, don't post about it online, like they're not fucking trying to make themselves out to be deep philosophers on the internet. And a lot of them help out around their household and keep themselves up a lot fucking better than Brett does. You look at Brett, you hear the stories about him, and you start looking into the background of his videos, which, the DFF boys pointed out is the best fucking, like, that's the best aspect of a Brett Keane video, is not what the stupid ass manatee is talking about. It's the shit in the background that reveals shit about the manatee. And here's what we know about the manatee. He's a dirty, filthy fuck that lives in basically functionally 2 places in his house. Maybe 3. He's got like a spot in the living room. He's got a spot in his bedroom, which is where most of his time is spent. And then he's got a spot on the porch. And that's where the manatee spends like 90% of his fucking time. We know that Brett Keane likes to keep multiple drinks going and that he's really bad about throwing away garbage and keeping a clean table. We know from, court records and shit that have been, because he revealed his fucking real name and, like, his, like, fucking full-ass government name, people are able to, like, look at his fucking CaseNet shit and pull up the awful shit that he's done to other people in his life. So we know that he's probably a wife beater. We know that he's, like, a violent dude, or at least was at one time. I don't know. He's a scumfuck on a level that I don't think most people that are kind of like Brett Keane don't ever get to. Most, it's pretty rare for a seemingly complete lack of empathy to coexist with a complete lack of success. Most people that show the type of aggression and the type of, like, lack of empathy and the type of, like, Machiavellianism that Brett Keane displays take that to great success in their lives. They're like CEOs and shit. But Brett Keane has been plugging away at the same stupid bullshit on YouTube for his entire life. Because for whatever reason, he's just not, there's just a few hurdles that prevent him from ever being able to put those fucking habits and those tendencies and that ability to just step on people and over people. He's never going to be able to put that to the test. There's just some hurdles he can't get over. Last I checked, he almost never shows himself on camera anymore. He just uses a little gif of himself talking and pastes the audio over it, dude. Yes, that is exactly how Brett Keane makes his content now. He literally, that's 100% true. It's a gif of him talking, like a 5-second long gif that infinitely repeats, and it's a gif with a fake mic implanted in it too. It's literally a complete bullshit fest. Brett Keane has become like the worst content creator on the internet. He may or may not have a goiter on his neck. What? He's got a fucking goiter? Dude, a goiter. How many doinks do you smoke in a day? Zero, like usually 0 doinks. Usually it's like a bowl or 2. Like, this is the first doink of my day. Who is Brett Keane? A YouTuber from way back that revealed himself to be a plagiarist and a hypocrite and an abusive person that the YouTube community that he was a part of completely turned on him. And he has been trying to recapture the minor amount of success that he found in 2006 ever since. And talking about him is cancer for views. No, I guess that's not true. We're hovering between 86 and 126, which I guess is pretty good. By the way, make sure you guys are hitting that like button because that really does help. And you can hit that like button by either hitting the physical button itself or by double tapping your screen. Gotcha, he sounds like a loser. Oh, he's a complete loser. That's why everybody hates on him now. Because that's what he revealed himself to be, right? Like, it's... Like, not only that, but honestly, what crushed Brett Keane more than anything was not him being a loser. It was him being so fucking unapologetic about it. Denying it, making excuses for it, but never apologizing for it, never really taking it to account, making, like, false, vague apologies that almost sound legit enough for you to accept for a little while, but then he fucking turns code on you 2 weeks later, like, he's just a complete fucking, I don't know. I genuinely don't know if there's some kind of like mental condition that underlies it, or if he's just a scumfuck of a person that doesn't have a principle and just like turns on people randomly or what. But yeah, I mean, he's like roundly hated by most people that are aware of his existence, and among a very small contingent, like among an increasingly small community of people on the internet even know who the fuck Brett Keane is, because really Brett Keane is only funny when conceptualized by other people who are good at making fun of the worst people you've ever met, And Brett Keane is basically your welfare scamming uncle who's been sleeping on the same mattress since 1994, scamming his way into a disability check you know goddamn well he don't need, smoking like a fucking chimney despite the fact that he's always fucking grousing for money from all these different people in his life, fucking complete flip-flopper on all of his positions, complete nasty mess of a human being that never cleans up anything and allows their house and home to be a pigsty. It's like, that kind of person is just reprehensible universally, but he's so fucking boring that it's kind of hard to actually watch his content and like have a conversation about him that is substantive in regards to like responding to the shit he says, because he's just so fucking ill-informed and shit. So really all you can do is analyze him as a psychological being and talk about, like, Brett Keane has ceased to be a human being. He's a concept now. Would you agree with me, Merrick, if you're still in here? Or if anybody that knows who Brett Keane is, would you all agree with me that Brett Keane is a concept now? I gotta go for a bit. I'll see you in a few. Oh, okay. Right on. I wonder if Brett may have been a meth addict at some point. That would explain the loss of the teeth and how he used to be such a constant uploader. I tell you, if he was actively on meth, he does not have the body for it. And he never did at any point in his videos. Every meth head I've ever known was a skinny fuck when they were in active addiction. I have never met a fat meth head. Now, maybe that is just a misapprehension of mine, but I would, because Brett Keane was not so fucking fat that I would believe that if somebody like Boogie Size picked up a meth habit, it would take them a long time for that meth to make them skinny. But somebody Brett Keane size back in the day, I think if he was on meth, he would have been losing weight way faster. I think we would have been seeing like a crackhead looking tweaker Brett, but I don't know. I'll tell you this much. Meth is a super fucking popular drug in that area. Like, if Brett Keane actually is from Festus, Missouri, I grew up most of my life in an area about 30 minutes away from Festus, and I can tell you that meth is fucking, that area is rotten with meth. The whole of Southeast Missouri is ate up with meth. So it would not shock me if Brett Keane was a meth addict at that time. And if that's true, that's really sad, honestly. And that might be responsible for part of why he's so fucked up and unable to plant himself in one given position in one given place. And it's really sad that would, happen to somebody. Although I don't necessarily think it gives him an excuse, because I've known too many recovered meth heads that manage somehow to remain basically socially competent. So, at the very least, he is a caricature. Also, fair point, I didn't consider that. He would have lost a ton of weight. Right, that's what I would think, too. But yeah, I would say at the very least, he's a caricature of a human being. I would think that, like, Brett Keane's a concept at this point, in my opinion, but yes, a caricature, yes, that works as well. Missouri is lit with meth? Yes, literally. Missouri is ate up with fucking meth. I can't talk much about any other states because I just haven't, I've spent a couple of months here and there in a bunch of other states, but not long enough to really figure out what their main drug problem was in a lot of cases. But I can tell you Missouri is ate up with it. It's really tragic, honestly. I used to know a dude who made it in a trailer park. Every Missourian does. Get up. Oh. At least a minute. Oh, alrighty. Oh. Damn, I'm just getting ignored. Word. Well, I didn't see your messages. Hey, Phoebe, how's your night going? Pretty good so far. We're doing great in view numbers. And the conversations have actually been really interesting so far. My mother's from St. Louis. I need to ask her if she has any interesting meth stories. I know I've got an interesting fucking crack story, but I've got like one interesting meth story, but it's not, I haven't figured out how to make it all that interesting yet. But yeah, that's another thing that most people from that region of the world, like if you're from the Midwest, there is just like a band of states that, from what I can tell, are ate the fuck up with methamphetamine. Kansas, Missouri, Illinois. I don't know enough about Kentucky and Indiana to say whether or not they deal with it, but I know those three states deal with a fucking meth problem that's in contention for a worse drug problem than the opioid crisis in those areas. And it's just kind of a crisis that's just gone like passively. It's just gone like passively unfucking noticed, right? It's just happened under people's noses and around people, and it's become so normalized in people's minds that nobody even talks about it as an issue anymore. But meth is one of the most pernicious fucking drugs that there fucking are, that there is. Yeah. And it, in my mind, it's just another perfect example of why regulation and legalization and the establishment of a robust rehabilitation system for addiction is so important, because, and that would be really easy to establish under a universal healthcare system, by the way, but that's why I think that sort of thing is so fucking important to get established in America, because so many fucking people, if they do die from a meth dose, so many times it's from some kind of contamination in it. And even at the best of times, meth is an incredibly addictive substance that people develop a complete dependency on in order to feel like they can even work. And the withdrawal process from it is horrible. And so I really fucking wish that we could find a solution whereby we can legalize and regulate these harsher drugs and make it something that people can get cheaper through the legal method than through any kind of street dealing. And then you can really deal with the problem of drugs being street dealt, and then nobody dies from contamination, number one. But number two, you've got numbers then on how many people need help and how many resources to devote to the addiction centers, right? You fund those addiction centers, you staff those addiction centers, and you make sure people, every time they buy their re-up of meth, get a fucking referral to it, right? And you staff the places that will dispense these higher caliber drugs, right? You staff them with people who are trained in like soft intervention, like, you know, it's not like they try to talk them out of it, but it's like they go through the risks and everything, and it's like there are ways I think we could get ahead of this problem, is what I'm trying to say, that in my opinion would probably be far more effective than the current system, which is just ignore it and occasionally lock people up for making it. Let me see here. How do you feel about Adderall prescriptions? Like the same way I feel about here's the thing. Adderall and meth are not exactly the same thing. If I remember correctly, they're a molecule apart or something like that. But I think that Adderall prescriptions are fine. I think some people do need the effects of that kind of chemical in their brain. I think they are benefited from it. And I would point as some further evidence to that, to the fact that there are some people who use meth regularly. In fact, I knew one. Only one. I've only ever known one. But I knew someone that I know was a meth head for like a couple of years. But she did not look like any meth head you've ever seen. She was not like super crazy skinny. She had like a pretty normal fucking body. And she didn't get all crazy and manic when she was high either. Like, she would get a little bit more euphoric, I guess, and would laugh a little easier, and she would engage in more creative work and everything. It's like she could focus on things and have a conversation at the same time. But she could still do that with a little more effort, even without the meth. So I think for somebody like her, she probably needed an Adderall prescription and was probably self-medicating with meth. And I've met a couple of other people that I've wondered that with, you know? So one component, right. Speaking as someone who was prescribed Adderall, I know it works well for some people. It was horrible for me. Basically, I became the avatar of anger and anxiety. Right. So for some people, it's outright horrible. But for some people, it's what makes them able to have an enjoyable life and to focus on things substantively. And that's why I think it's so important for people to be able to, you know, have a good relationship with a regular doctor that can take them off of a med when it's not working for them, and prescribe them something that might work better if they need it. Ultimately, universal healthcare and a change in drug attitudes in this country are the answers to both of these questions, which are all these questions. I take Adderall before my tests. I knew a lot of people like you in high school, and like some of them were taking it by prescription, obviously, and some of them were taking it by buying it off of the kids who had a prescription. But all of us were taking it. Me with a prescription. And yeah, like that's now obviously for the ones who had the prescription, it probably wasn't doing as much for the ones who don't necessarily need it, because there are some people who are affected badly by Adderall and meth and similar amphetamines, and then there are some people who are made kind of like high by them, and those people vary in the ways that is expressed and felt and everything. And then there are some people who, like I said, need that type of chemical in their brain to make up for chemical deficits in other areas, right? And you might be one of those people, or you might be a person who doesn't really need it but has benefited from occasional use. Thoughts on depression? I think depression 100% exists, but I think it exists in higher numbers now because we have a dysfunctional society. I think if society wasn't so completely socially dysfunctional and so completely backwards in its nature, I think if we lived in a place that made more sense, I think if we lived in a place that made more sense, or in places that made more sense, you would probably see a way lower incidence of depression. An insane society does not a sane population beget, But it 100% exists. I mean, Notch has depression, so it's not all down to class and shit. I'm not sure what y'all are talking about in the chat, but good for y'all, or have fun, or whatever. Make sure you like the stream, because that would be good. 130 people in here. I see no reason why we couldn't have 130 likes right now. If all of you double tapped your screen at the same time, it would fucking do magical things to the screen, or to the stream. Look at me. I can't even say the things that I want to say properly. Anyway, what is that flag? I'm not too educated on the subject. That is the Queer Pride Peace flag, adopted in 2020. It's got the colors of the traditional gay flag on the right there, and then on the left field it's got the trans flag, as well as a flag for brown and black queer people all over the world. And I don't know much about the design components in terms of angles and shit like that, but I know it's meant to represent peace and solidarity between various groups of queer people. We need to give Brett an Adderall prescription. It would probably improve his content. I think if you gave Brett Keane Adderall, you'd probably get something a lot more like this. I mean, Brett Keane strikes me as the kind of person who, at one point in time, probably kind of spoke pretty quickly. Because, I mean, if you look at some of his earlier content, he does have a faster way of talking. It's more like this. He's not halting every single time he says something. He's not trailing off, and he's not taking forever to say everything that he says, right? It's a pretty normal conversational tone of voice. Whereas if you listen to him now, it seems like he's just, oh, look at that. There's a potion on the ground. Better grab that. Anyway, it seems like Brett's not really as engaged with his content as he used to be, you know? So yeah, I bet if you gave that Brett an Adderall, it would spice his fucking ass right up. I hate that the small percentage of LGBTQ have to ruin it for others and push it on to kids. I mean, I don't really think that that's happening. I feel like that people are being made to think that that's happening, but it's not really fucking happening. I mean, kids being taught that gay people exist, like, there are men who love other men, you know? Just like, how is that any worse than kids being taught that there are men who love other women, or that there are men who love women, right? Like, I think that you can teach kids about all the various different configurations of human love without ever introducing the sexual component to it. It's like, we don't teach kids about sex at the same time we culturally condition them to accept and normalize straight relationships. And I'm not saying that we should not normalize straight relationships. I just wish that we would accept that queer relationships do exist and that they are as natural an impulse as straight relationships, and explaining them without a sexual component is not some kind of like bad thing that we all need to feel guilty about. My little brother had a trans sexually touch him in school, and I mean, like, one trans person being a predator does not mar the whole movement. I mean, whatever group you're a part of, you can find, predators in their midst. There are bad people in every fucking group on the planet. So there are trans predators, there are straight predators, there are cisgender predators, there are queer predators, there are fucking asexual predators, predators come in all shapes and sizes. As far as it being taught in a school, by that do you mean that there's like a kid's book that's like, there are some people who don't feel right about the clothes that their mom puts them in, or the sports that they're expected to play, and they wish that they could play with the other kids who play whatever, right? If it's being explained in a like innocuous, non-sexual way, I really don't see why you would have a problem with it. Like, kids can handle some pretty fucking heavy concepts, and that's a concept I think that is not so heavy that kids can't be taught about the like basics of the idea, I'm not a child's author, so I'm not the one to come up with what that would be, but you get my point, right? I subbed 5 minutes ago just so I could join this conversation. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I hope you understand. It's just like an idiot filter, because it makes sure that someone is actually dedicated to joining the fucking conversation, like you did. Teachers, bro, and like other queer parents, they're trying to push it into schools. They're not really trying to push it into schools. What they want, if anything, is fair representation and an end to the common policy of schools of treating queer history and knowledge about queer people like it's forbidden knowledge. Okay? That's really what people are fighting against more than anything. High school kids should be allowed to learn about the Stonewall. Why aren't they? High school kids should be allowed to learn about Harvey Milk. Why aren't they? High school kids and middle school kids should be able to learn about the oppression of gay people and trans people in America and the world's history. Why not? It's a politically relevant topic that people should be educated on. I'm sorry. And by the way, what about the kids? What about the children? What about won't somebody think of the children? That line is literally a line from the Reagan administration. That line has been used against queer people since at least the 80s, and I'm sure you could find examples of it being applied even in the fucking 50s. Probably before that. It is one of the oldest arguments against fucking gayness, and it falls on deaf ears because kids and well, okay, um, honestly, like, um, if you know anything about like child behavior, kids will experiment for a few years anyway, so like kids don't really have like a sexuality, and like God forbid they're interacted with by an adult in an appropriate way or in an inappropriate way that makes them like form some kind of sexuality. Like unless something like that happens, kids don't really feel much of that shit. But adults who end up being gay are like they don't become gay because of exposure during their childhood, right? Now, an exposure during their childhood might later inform their sexuality. I'm not arguing against that necessarily, but um, if you're gonna be gay, I'm of the opinion that you're probably born that way. We haven't found the gay gene, as far as I know. Maybe somebody will correct me in chat. As far as I know, we haven't found the gay gene, but it's pretty well agreed upon by a lot of scientists who study the topic that it more than likely exists. And when you study the minds of trans people, you find that their brains, more often than not, correlate to the sex that they feel that they actually should have been born as, right? To the gender that they identify with, in other words. So if you scan my brain, you'd probably find a female brain, right? Interesting, huh? Interesting what science has revealed through time and effort. There's no gay gene, it's a way of thought. Well, the scientific community disagrees with you, my friend. The scientific community roundly disagrees with you. The gay ones do? No. Like, this is a pretty fucking universally well accepted thing about, like, human behavior and human genetics. They haven't found the gay gene, but their having not found it has not shaken the overall consensus of the scientific community that gay people are born, not made. If gay people are made, then why did I turn out so fucking queer despite meeting 0 gay people throughout my fucking childhood? I didn't meet a single gay person till I was already an adult. You realize that? I'll repeat that again. I, a bisexual trans woman, did not interact with a single queer person until I was an adult. And yet, I knew I was queer from the time I was 14, and I knew I was trans way back when I was 5. I just didn't have the words for it. No, I had a beautiful childhood. I had a super fucking idyllic childhood. There were parts of it that were apparently pretty bad, but I was so fucking little that I don't fucking have any memory of that shit. So, and when I say bad, it wasn't because my parents. It's not from a lack of trying. It was just, somebody burns your house down. Like only so much you can do about that, right? Are you saying there's an agenda towards gay people? Do you mean like an agenda against them? Yeah, clearly. Yeah, is there a concerted effort amongst certain religious people and bigots across America in general to deny queer people their ability to speak and express themselves? Yeah, clearly there is. Yeah. That's the ironic thing, right? The gays do not have an agenda. If the gay agenda exists at all, it's, hey, can we be looked at as human beings in equal standing with you and your kin? And the anti-gay agenda is, can we wipe gay people and people like them out of existence? Can we wipe them off the face of the earth? that would be cool. And it's like, huh, I wonder which of these positions is more humane. And you really can't make an argument for the latter one, unless you're just a total sociopath who's willing to kill infinite numbers of people in furtherance of your personal fucking idea of social advancement. If it is, what would be the benefit? What, huh? It doesn't matter. It could be subconscious. We can all say we had a good childhood, but one simple thing can mess it up. Okay, so if there is, what would be the benefit? You mean like if there was a gay gene, what would be the benefit? Okay, here's the evolutionary benefit to a gay gene. Number one, people with variations of that gay gene could have it expressed in different ways. So you could have a bisexual person like me that can find satisfaction in like both conventional makeups of sex components. Anyway, but here, this would be the first thing that shoots to my mind as far as like an evolutionary utility for gayness. If someone in a tribal society is completely gay, they have no interest in people outside their own sex, then there's a high likelihood that that person, if allowed to express those behaviors, is not going to have children. But they are going to be still doing things around the camp, and so you end up with certain people in every generation that have more time. Either they have more time to help with raising the village or the tribe's children, or they've got more time to spend on pursuits in furtherance of the village's success or in furtherance of their own pursuits, because once again they're not raising a child, and that can have effects that raise the fitness of the whole tribe, and therefore the gene continuously gets passed down, right? I mean, obviously you would have to have some gay people breeding for it to be getting passed down, which would make sense. Because most people are not like 100% gay or 100% straight. Most people are like, you know, somewhere in the great gray middle. For people who are questioning why being gay exists, you should look around in nature. Homosexuality exists in nature. Tons of animals exhibit gay behavior. Yep, go look up gay penguins. Literally, just go look up gay penguins. Oh, thank goodness. I'll do whatever the fuck I want, bitch. You don't tell me what to do, ever. You little pissant son of a bitch. Look at the fucked up shit dolphins do. That's true. But also, look at our closest relatives, the bonobos. Bonobos exhibit gay behavior. It's a thing that's as natural as fucking scratching your fucking armpits, but everybody wants to act like it's some crazy shit that was invented back in the 80s. It's just ignorance. A lot of it really is just historical ignorance, and this is why I think it's important that queer issues and queer history have at least a minor place in history and social studies education, right? When it comes to like teaching kids about the history of the world and the culture of the modern day, queer issues are going to have to be a part of that. Because we live in a country that continues to be populated by at least a small margin of people that are just completely vitriolically hateful towards any kind of queerness, right? And that fight between people has shaped entire cities, entire cultural movements. Okay, so it's something that has to be taught, and the reason a lot of these people are spouting off at the mouth about shit that they don't know is because they've never been taught it. Make sure you're liking the stream, by the way. 97 people in here. We could have a lot more likes than 17. Vaping is bad for you? No. No fucking way, dude. Wait, what? Really? It is? Holy shit. Why didn't they ever put that on the box? What does it do to you? Does it, like, increase your risk of lung cancer? Does it, like, expose you to nicotine, which is a known carcinogen? Oh my god, dude. Oh, Lord have mercy. I've been fucking myself up. What kind of idiot do you think I am, bro? You think I don't know vapes are fucking bad for me? Are you retarded? Are you retarded? I love Casey. I love Casey. Look at that. Niggas are gay. Shut the fuck up, idiots in chat who have half a testicle from their constant masturbation. I love that. That was the fucking best shit ever. Thank you, Casey. It's been a part of history. It's been a part of history as well. Hell, have you read the Iliad? Achilles had a gay lover, Patroclus. No, I've never heard of Patroclus, but that's super fucking cool. I'm gonna have to read the Odyssey now, or the Iliad. I mean, spoiler warning: the Greco-Romans were pretty gay. Oh yeah, I know. I knew the Greco-Romans were pretty fucking gay. Heavy metals? What do heavy metals have to do with anything? I was reading a chat. Chill out. It's fine. You know I didn't mean it with hate. Come on now. And if you don't know that I didn't mean it with hate, I would prefer that you ask me first, rather than just assuming. You can literally scroll up and see the chat that I was reading off, so it's like... That's getting clipped? I sure hope so. It'd be fun to go viral. My dumbass accidentally clicked a notification. Look at me fumbling the bag. Number one, I'm not a he. And number two, I don't hit the vape when I'm nervous. I hit the vape when I'm craving nicotine. What do you think of Palestine? I think it's a fucking tragedy that the Democrats allowed Israel to slaughter Palestinians like cattle for a year and a half or whatever it was. And I think it really fucking demonstrates the weakness of the Democrats' position that Trump was somehow able... If you listen to Netanyahu and shit, Trump is instrumental, apparently, in organizing this ceasefire and hostage negotiation and shit. So it just goes to show you the fucking weakness of the Democrats' position. But ultimately, you know, that's like an electoral gripe I have here at home. What I think of the Palestinians is that somebody needs to fucking... I don't know. Somebody needs to step in and make sure that Trump's vision for what Gaza should be doesn't happen, and that the Palestinian people are able to have some fucking level of autonomy and fucking peace and freedom, and to make absolutely sure that Israel is no fucking longer allowed to encroach on them. And I think with comprehensive rules about this shit, And with a sea change in American policy in that region, I think that we could see an end to the occasional attacks and the occasional uh, intrusions of Hamas fighters into Israel and shit. I think that shit could die out within 10 years if Israel stops trying to take the fucking whole region over. They need to stop with that shit. They need to cut it out. They've got more than enough technology to protect them from the 99% of the shit that fucking Hamas does. There's no way that a modern state powered by our fucking technology the way Israel is cannot have a peaceful and secure so that's what I think of Palestine. I think that they need to be allowed to prosper as a people, and I don't think that as long as Israel is allowed to run roughshod over them, I don't think they're going to have a shot at that. I'm in timeout? No, I think you are in timeout, my friend. What's up, Vaughn? Somebody earlier said that, no, that land was promised 3,000 years ago. Yeah, according to the fucking Bible, which I don't trust as accurate reporting. Sorry. Number one, I don't trust it as accurate reporting. Number two, I don't think a fucking claim from 3,000 years ago matters, especially when it's not. Like, you realize Europe and the United States basically got together with leaders of the Jewish community specifically to plan out what Israel would be, but like the fucking Jewish community, as far as I know, did not come to the powers that be and ask for that. The powers that be came to the Jewish community and asked them how they would like to be set up with that. And my understanding was that it was to provide the Jews a homeland that wasn't anybody else's land. But the problem was that there were those damned Philistine Palestinians living on the fucking land that they were gonna occupy for Israel, and you gotta fucking do anything you can to support the narrative that they need, that Israel as a state needs to exist there. And in my opinion, it's because it's got less to do with being a homeland for the Jewish people and way more to do with being a fucking American military base in the Middle East. A big fucking series of American military bases in the Middle East. That's what I think Israel is. I think that the motivations that we often hear appended to Israel don't really have much to do with its actual existence. Nigga Jeremiah getting ass fucked by timeouts. Well, don't you love it? Somebody just keeps coming on back for the fucking timeout time and time again. They keep coming on back for the punishment. Dude, that is a unique fucking hell. That is a unique place to be in for sure. Can you roast me? Don't hold back. JCS3 or whatever your name is, I don't know enough about you to roast you. A good roast is not just calling someone names. A good roast takes what you know about that person and turns it on its head. And so here's the sad thing about a good roast. If you ever hear somebody that it really gives someone a good roast that really cuts them down and cuts to the throat, you can guarantee that that person has made some motherfuckers in their life cry. They have probably made their partner cry a time or two. They have probably made their parent or parents cry a time or two, because the skill of giving a good roast is the skill of needling people about the most intimate details of their personal lives and their personal philosophies. It is taking what you know about a person and using it as a cudgel against them. That's what roasting is. So if you see someone who's good at doing that to some random internet person that they know a lot about, some internet adversary, you should probably be thankful for that person that they are exercising those demons online, and you should be hopeful that they are not displaying that behavior offline, because that's a skill that you develop through constant repetition of that behavior pattern. Learning about someone, and then in a fight, using the things that you know about them, like a cudgel, in conversation against them. And it's effective as fuck, right? Don't ask me how I know. What did I miss? I can't see Ethan's chat anymore. There's something going on. Hold on. The Bible is not the most backed history book in the world. That's retarded. That's really dumb. You really think the Bible is the only religious text that people have followed for years? No. Like, yeah, that they genuinely do, but they couldn't be more wrong. It's one of those misapprehensions that I just don't understand about Christians, but they legitimately, some of them seem to think that they are the only religion out there. They're the only game in town. Hasn't been true in fucking 60 years, but they still think it. Ever hear of the Kama Sutra, the Vedas, the Poetic Edda? No, they've never heard of that shit. Most of them legitimately have not. Have they ever heard of the Tao? There are aspects of the Tao that are far older than the Bible. I asked a lot of questions, so I'll give him some time to respond. You know, the funny thing is, if you want to trust a good book, the Book of Enoch dates back to before Christ, the way back to when the Great Wall of China. Okay, that doesn't... Like, the Bible referencing itself is not good fucking strategy for me, I'm sorry. I don't think the Bible is proof for itself. But regardless, if it dates back to the Great Wall of China, it dates back to the time of the Tao. So how do you account for that? And how do you account for the fact that the Epic of Gilgamesh predates your Bible? All of it. Every bit of it. How do you account for it? Can someone explain to me that, please? Will someone please, a Christian please, explain to me how it can be that the Epic of Gilgamesh is older than your Bible by a couple of thousand years? And yet you guys want to believe that you're the only one with a book that's been well read? Oh, come on now. The Quran is more well read than the Bible at this point. You've lost. Your influence is waning. Your communities are growing smaller. Your churches are becoming more insular. Your people are becoming more logical. Those of them who really are Christian are taking off from the church in massive and growing numbers. And you know why they're doing it? Because they, like I, take a look around at the modern church and they don't see a whole lot of Christ. They read the Sermon on the Mount, and they don't see that reflected in the modern Christian church. So off they fly, like the doves of peace that they are. But it has left the organized Christian church with precious few members. And every year their numbers wane. Every year it becomes harder and harder to make the argument. Every year the God of the gaps has less gaps to hide in. The caves in which God's shadow can still be found flickering become fewer and fewer and fewer. Phoebes, have you ever been in a long distance relationship? Have you seen ones that worked out? Yeah, I've been in a couple long distance relationships. There was one long distance relationship that then became a friendship, and we then online dated again for a bit, and then weren't, and then we ended up meeting IRL, and then eventually we ended up actually living together, and then we did have a relationship. So yeah, I've definitely seen that work out. It 100% can, but you have to meet that person. You have to meet that person, and you have to actually vibe with them IRL, or it never progresses to anything more. Um, you have to bite the bullet and eventually make that choice. And if the other person is never, if it's just always pushed back to some nebulous time in the future, then you know that person is not very serious about it, right? Doesn't the Book of Enoch also describe angels as strange eldritch beings? Do you take that as literal history? Dude, the lake of fire is some bullshit that they tell you in Sunday school and in your church sermons to keep you from touching yourself, dude. That's literally why they tell you that shit. They tell you that shit because old men who get paid way more than you do want to have some ability to control the shit you do in your everyday life. So they teach you this story about a fucking lake of fire that you're going to burn in forever if you ever wear a dress or if you ever touch a penis, if you have one. And it's retarded. It is really fucking stupid. There is no lake of fire. There is no pearly gates. There is no fucking shiny, golden, fucking paved road fucking bullshit up in the sky that everybody goes to at the end of their life. And similarly, there is no lake of fire burning with the cinders of sulfur and lost souls down below us. It's bullshit. But I tend to believe that it's all for naught. And when the sun does set, all our souls will rot, along with our flesh and our bones and our blood. I'll seep into the earth, reconnecting with the mud, and I think to myself, what a beautiful life to waste being devout on what could all turn out to be a lie. Now I do not know, but I have been told that if you don't believe in him, well then the devil owns your soul. But let us just examine what's below this land. It's not the story of a man with a pitchfork in his hand. Could you honestly believe in such a tall, tall tale? Something that sounds so make-believe, just like the sailor and the whale. Well, I guess that this song has sealed my own fate. Lucifer won't take me, ain't passing through no pearly gates. But if either one exists, well, that's fine by me. I will gladly spend the afterlife waiting in purgatory. Aw, thank you, Bug Blaze. Yeah, your name's alright. It's pretty cool, I would say. My phone died. Where were we? I have no idea what point we were making when your phone died. There's no way of me knowing when that happened, unfortunately. I know we were arguing about religion earlier. I don't know if that's the conversation you're referencing. Ooh, I can hear the frogs. I get it because I was born on the what? I was born on the offering day of Babaluaye? Am I pronouncing that right? Babaluaye? Ah, I love it when I pronounce random things correctly. I love it when I actually get something correctly. I like the name of that god or whatever that whatever it is. I like its name. Babaluaye. Ah, I like it. Yeah, you were arguing that the Bible is the most backed historical text, which me and Merrick argued against. I would say 99% of the shit in the Bible is completely unsubstantiated. And the shit that is substantiated, a lot of it is a whole lot less magical than it's made out to be. Do you have an internal mental dialogue, Phoebes? I think so. I mean, a lot of times I might choose to express it openly, right? But yeah, I definitely have an internal dialogue. I don't, I don't know if it always, it doesn't always come with a voice, if that makes sense. Sometimes it's like, it's very hard to describe it. It's not like I visualize it, and it's not like I hear it. Um, but it's like, sometimes I'll even be forming the words in my mouth, but there's no sound involved in the internal monologue. It's just like, you know, thoughts that are being expressed in English words and sentences, like conceptually, but I'm not like hearing them in like an internal voice. Usually, sometimes I do when I'm on acid though, and sometimes it'll make me ask the person I'm tripping with, "Huh?" And they'll be like, "I didn't say anything," and I realize like, "Oh, that was me. That was in my head." I believe in the Book of Enoch. It tells of those time. Oh well, right on. Good for you. Ever hear the Kama Sutra, the Vedas, the Poetic Edda? The Bible is not the only religious text out there. You can do a simple Google search there and no actual the most backed history book, but the Old Testament is the most documented history book. Well, the most documented is completely different than the most accurate. Sorry to say. Yeah, and that's just a slop answer too. Like part of it doesn't even make sense. You can do a simple Google search there and no actual, I don't know what you're trying to say there. The most backed history book. So I think you're trying to say not actually. I'm sorry, but that's a nothing response. Yeah, you're right, Merrick. I gave it more credit than it deserved, honestly. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like a certain percentage of my thoughts is kind of like, oh, I don't know, linguistically self-expressed as opposed to just images. Yeah, that's what I would say. It's a hard thing to describe, but that gets close enough to it. Yeah. Man, I must really be at the boring part of the stream. How do we go from fucking as many viewers as we had earlier to fucking 8 people? That seems wrong. That seems treacherous. How did you guys let me down so? I gotta get up. I don't feel so good, Spider-Man. What was the saying? What does he say in that movie? I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Alright, give me 1 second. Damn it. Why does it always end up getting stuck up there every time I move around? There we go. Now I'm back. Yeah, that's a necessary. Yeah. You've got to provide some citations there, my friend, because I know plenty of fucking archaeologists that are like, what? The Bible literally can't be accurate. Literally, the different strata that fossils are found in prove that the Bible cannot be accurate. Like literally. I thought the Book of Enoch was a book in the Bible. Am I confused about this? You want to hear some music before I go? Because I gotta get off here pretty quick. Like in the next 20 minutes or so. Nobody's interested in having that argument with you. What argument was he even trying to have? Yeah, no, I'm not trying to have this argument about the fucking Book of Enoch. Yeah, like, read the room. I ain't trying to have it. Great, you found the Book of Enoch. Go read it to somebody else. I'm a for music time with Phoebes. Well, every time I see you in here, I always feel inspired to play because you genuinely do seem like you enjoy it. And I really love playing for people who really like listening to me play. It's a perfectly reciprocal relationship. Well, I'm always happy to provide it. But first, we got to figure out where we're sitting at in tuning. Sing Jim Jones? All right. Fast or slow? You want it fast or slow? Jim Jones did a massacre, but America's requesting the song Jim Jones at Botany Bay. However you choose. And Book Blaze says fast, so I choose fast. I'm trying to remember the first line. Because usually if I can remember the first line, I'm usually okay. All right, there we go. Listen for a moment, lads, and hear me tell your tale. How overseas from England shore I was condemned to sail. The jury said I was guilty, and said the judge said he. For life, Jim Jones, I sentence you across the stormy sea. Now take my tip before you ship to join the higher game. Don't be too gay in Botany Bay, or else you'll surely hang. Or else you surely hang, says he, and after that Jim Jones, well, high upon that gallows tree, the crows will pick your bones. You'll have no chance for mischief there, remember what I say. They'll flog the poaching right out of you out there in Botany Bay. The winds were high upon the sea, the winds that came in gales. And I'd rather drown in misery than gone to New South Wales. The waves were far upon the ship, the pirates howled along. But the soldiers on that convict ship, they were full 500 strong. They opened fire and somehow drove that pirate ship away. I'd rather join those buccaneers than gone to Botany Bay. Now one night when all is clear and quiet in the town, I'll kill you bastards one and all, I'll gun your floggers down. I'll give you all a little lead, and then you all will see. What are the next lines? Into the bush I'll go, off to join the company of Donahue and Co. Now day and night I'll toil, just like poor galley slaves. Toil, and when we die must fill the sonnet graves. But by and by I'll break my chains, into the bush I'll go. And you'll be dead behind me, John, when I get to Mexico. There you go. I gave you both endings. And you'll be dead behind me, John, when I get to Mexico. That's the one that was used in The Hateful Eight. And there's actually another one. The other one is off to join the bushwhackers of Donahue and Co. Thanks. If there's any more requests, I've got a few more minutes. Literally just a few, but we can do one or two more songs. Revenge for Skibbereen. Oh, it's actually funny you say that, because that's actually the tune that the Jim Jones of Botany Bay, the version I do, is set to Skibbereen. So yeah, I can play Skibbereen. Father dear, I often hear you speak of their design. Her lofty scenes, her valleys green, her mountains rude and wild. You say it is a lovely place wherein a prince might dwell. So why did we abandon her? Oh, the reason to be tell. Oh son, I loved our native land with energy and pride. The love light came over all our crops and our sheep and cattle died. Our rent and taxes were to pay, I could not them redeem. And that's the cruel reason we left old Skibbereen. 'Tis well I do remember that dark November day, when the bailiff and the landlord came to take us all away. They set the roof on fire with their cursed English spleen. And that's yet another reason we left old Skibbereen. Oh, son, you know your mother. I can't remember the fuck. I always fuck this line up, so I'm gonna have to improv it a little bit, probably. Your mother shuddered to see what went on. She faded to the ground, seeing the desolation round. Rose not again, but passed away into immortal dreams. And that's yet another reason we left old Skibbereen. Oh, you were only 2 years old and feeble was your frame. I could not leave you with my friends, for you bore your father's name. So I wrapped you in my coat of maud and fled the night unseen. Oh, I heaved a sigh and said goodbye to bitter Skibbereen. Oh, Father dear, the day will come when folks will gather round, and Irishmen, proud and tall, will beckon to the call. I want to be the lad to lead the band underneath the banner of green. And we'll kiss the sky and heave the cry, revenge for Skibbereen. Disclaimer: I don't always remember the lyrics to every song that I sing all the time, always. So sometimes I'll improv some shit, you know? So I'm not going to say that I got every lyric right on that. But yeah, that's a particularly touching Irish folk song, yeah. Here's another one I haven't played for you guys yet, but it's a really sad one. One morning in March I was digging the land, with my brogues on me feet and me spade in me hand. And I says to myself, such a pity to see such a fine strap I lad for tea from Tralee. With me turn and ya, with me turn and ya, with me turn and yudum and ya. So I buttered me brogues and I put on me spade, and I went to the fair like a dashing young maid. There I met me a sergeant, he asked me to list. A Mr. Sergeant, stick the bow in me fist. With me turum and ya, with me turum and ya, with me turum and yudum and yudum and ya. The first thing they gave me, it was a red coat and a white strap of leather to tie round me throat. They gave me a queer thing, I asked what was that, and they told me it was a cockade for me hat. With me turum and ya, with me turum and ya, with me turum and yudum and yudum and ya. The next thing they gave me, they called it a gun, with powder and ball and a piece for me thumb. Well, first she spat fire and then she spat smoke, and she gave a great leap at me shoulder near road. With me turum and ya, with me turum and ya, with me turum and yudum and yudum and ya. The first things they sent me was down by the quay, on board of a warship bound for the Crimea. 3 sticks in the middle, all rolled round with sheet, and she walked on the water without any feet. Let me turn him and ya, let me turn him and ya, let me turn him and get him and get him and ya. Oh, we fought them at angles likewise in good men, and the Russians they wailed a Saturday night. While scaling the wall there we some lost the night, and a big Russian woman ran away with me thigh. With me turn 'em and yeah, with me turn 'em and yeah, with me turn 'em and yeah, and turn 'em and yeah. Well, they soon called a doctor and soon stanched me blood, and they gave me a fine, elegant leg made of wood. They gave me a medal and 10 pence a day, contented with Sheila or live on half pay. Let me turn 'em and yeah, let me turn 'em and yeah, let me turn 'em and yeah, turn 'em and yeah. You were really close. Beautiful regardless, huh? Thank you. Even better, you're a performer, not just a mimicry machine. Yeah, I mean, that is true. I never looked at it that way, but you're right. Anyway, one more, or should I just go in? Should we just call it good? Lachlan and Jansen were activists. It's loaded with theory. Their hearts are filled with passion, shared the same left-wing politics. Like the same music, they were part of the protest movement, and I fancy to sell feminists. Studied the way they talked and dressed, fashioned herself an anarchist. Eric fell in love with Theta at a meeting on a crime thing conference. Didn't know it, but Anna was an FBI informant. And fell in love with an FBI informant. Shared his dreams of revolution. Now he's sitting in solitary confinement. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you think might be used against you in court one day. Well, Anna thinks she's a hawk. She's just a fucking snitch. Black Suburbans nailed 15 rifles. Agents made the arrest in a Kmart parking lot, down with the supplies for palm in hand. They were gonna build a bomb and blew up the Nimmer stand. Well, let people in, and then I had the car, and I helped find the recipe to make the explosives. Let fell in love with Anna. He didn't know it, but Anna was an FBI. Wait, no, I forgot a line. She encouraged her friends to follow through with their plans. They were gonna build a bomb and blow up the Nimmer stand. Well, Eric fell in love with Anna. He didn't know it, but Anna was an FBI informant. Eric fell in love with an FBI informant. Shared his dreams of revolution. Now he's sitting in solitary confinement. Be careful what you think. Be careful what you say. Might be used against you in court one day. Well, Anna thinks she's a hawk. She's just a fucking snitch. I said, well, Anna thinks she's a hawk. She's just a fucking snitch. I know I left out a verse or two here or there, but y'all got the gist. Poor fucking Gary. I know. No, it was Eric. I'm sorry, my enunciation is not very good. The name of the person that was affected is Eric, not Gary. Anyway, I think it's about time I go in. I reckon it's about time I go in. Ba-dang, ba-dang. Ba-doong, ba-doong. Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Thanks, y'all, for hanging out. Y'all have a great night.